Hi friends, Prepared Suburbanite here, back at you. Sorry for the absence of new videos here at the Prepared Suburbanite channel, but I did want to get you up to date on some happenings around the homestead here. Working on the garden tool shed, have made significant progress with that. Working on the garden a little bit, getting the seed started, getting the soil ready to go. Today just turned out to be a nasty, ugly, cold, rainy, threatening to even snow later this afternoon, and we have frost warnings out for North Carolina on the, what is the 6th or 7th of April. So it's still within the time frame for average last frosts. But that being said, I also wanted to share my thoughts as an old prepper with some of you young folks out there. I'll be right back. Okay, to start off, we've got all the lumber delivered. I've been through all the 2x4s and most of all the rest of the stuff. This is the T111 siding, and my wife and I spent a few hours yesterday getting it all painted so it's the same color as the house. The trim's going to be the same color as the trim on the house, which you can see right by the garage door there. And that's the plywood for the roof. There's a couple extra 2x4s sitting out in back and some cut ends and stuff like that there. Over here are the shingles and some extra 2x4s. There's a big pile of junk right over there that is going to end up eventually going to the dump, but I wanted to wait until I got it pretty much all wrapped up around here so that it would just take one trip to get rid of all the extra junk. So we're going to take a quick stroll around back, and I'll show you the progress on the garden shed. So here's the rough frame. It's all framed in, all four walls. It's going to have a big 5-foot door in the front so that I can pull the lawnmower, riding tractor into the front end there that you can see. And there's a window over on the sunny side of the building, and there's all four walls framed in, plumbed. Still got to get the second tier, or the second plate on the top plate, and then we can start putting up the paneling, which the T111 siding, now that we've got all that taken care of. There's the old, what's left of the old shed right there, and that's just what could be usable lumber there. So we'll see how that goes. This was the window that I actually took out of the old shed. Let me get over to it. Yeah, that's the window there that I pulled out of the old shed. It's still working. Cleaned it up some, made sure that the tracks were still secure, and that's the window frame where it's going to go eventually there. And down here are the trusses for the gable roof. I put all those together, cut all the gusset plates, cut all the 2x4s, got it all put together, made the template, put the rest of them all together. So we should be good to go when we get the gang together, tentatively scheduled for a week from, well actually 2 weeks from today, to get the crew back out here so that we can get the roof trusses and the plywood up on the roof and all that, and then the siding, or the shingles, and we should be done hopefully by the end of the month, maybe the first week in May or so. So that's the progress here. The garden is coming along. We've spent some time pulling up some of the extra weeds that had grown late last fall. There's still a couple of cabbages in there that need to be harvested that are still doing pretty good. And the upper beds have been tilled, ready to go. And we've got the seedlings, the tomatoes, peppers, cabbages, and a few of my wife's favorite herbs growing on the dining room table, so that we'll get those planted out here. But like I said before, the Weather Service is calling for a frost warning tonight, so I didn't want to spend the day planting anything with a frost warning coming. So we'll probably wait until around the 15th or so and then get the garden planted. We have we have started hardening the tomatoes. Brought them out, gave them a little bit of sunshine yesterday, and exposed them to a little bit of a breeze, so it toughens them up some. I think we've got somewhere around 28 or 30 tomato plants and pepper plants, and we're going to be putting a half a dozen in the pots up on the deck, and the rest of them are going to go in the raised beds out here. So looking forward to having a fun day of getting everything planted. Picked up another blueberry bush because the mate to this one over here passed away last year, and I think this one's going to need just a little bit of help there. So I got a companion plant for that. The plum trees and the apples are all leafed out now. Not sure what they're going to do. I see that our grapevines have just now started to fatten up the buds. Now, they really haven't started growing, but the buds are there. So I think we made it through this season. I think this is the third year for those grapes. Still a little disappointed in how they turned out, but we'll see how it goes. Haven't gotten any grapes yet. We did get a bunch of blueberries. We did get a bunch of plums last year. No apples, but we'll see what this year brings. It's been a really weird winter and spring with very warm temperatures and then very, very cold temperatures. Lots and lots of rain. So it's been kind of squirrely, but as you can see, we got the dogwoods are in bloom out there, and the dogwoods on the back side here are coming out. Our Japanese maple is full leaf right now, but none of the real flowering bushes except for the fire bush. And that's our fire bush there. It's absolutely beautiful when it gets into full flower, and it'll be a couple more days before it's there, but boy, is that just absolutely spectacular when it fully comes in. So that's outside. Heading inside now. Want to share some thoughts on from an old prepper to the new folks. A short while ago, I posted a video called The Perils of Aging, and in that video I shared, I'll put a link to it up here, I shared some viewer comments about that I received based on that, and it was basically, you're too old to start prepping, you're too old to be a prepper. It's not going to do you any good to be a prepper because you only got a few more years left, and why are you wasting your time doing all this kind of stuff? And it was kind of eye-opening, I think, to me. And as I look around and try to remember what things were like when I was younger, growing up, and formative years and all that. And yeah, I didn't like getting dragged out to my elderly aunts and uncles' house on a Sunday afternoon, and sometimes I didn't like getting dragged out to my grandparents' house on a holiday weekend or anything like that. It was just kind of one of those things that kids don't really enjoy doing. But as I got older and I really got to know my granddad, I realized how kind of a cool guy he really was. He had the best sense of humor. He was a plumber all his life, and really understood the trade, understood how to be a good plumber, was a very successful businessman, built quite a financial boon for himself and his wife and all that, and he was just a wonderful, wonderful guy. I've still got quite a lot of the tools that he left when he passed away, and it's just been a wonderful, wonderful memory to think about my granddad and some of the lessons and thoughts that I have endeared over time that I learned from him. It's invaluable, but I never realized that until I was probably pushing 30 years old, and he was over 90, I think, at the time. So it was a wonderful experience, let's just say that, and it's something that I think the young folks are missing out on today. They may not agree, young folks may not agree with where the mature adults' thinking processes have evolved to over time. They're way too impatient to achieve whatever it is that they're trying to achieve. They're taken up with social media in today's world. They're taken up with a whole different world than I think that folks my age grew up in. I've seen this many times, but I can remember as a young kid, 7 to 12 years old, just Saturday morning, you bust out the back door and you're running in the neighborhood. You got your bicycle going, you round up the gang of kids, and you were putting together baseball games or badminton tournaments, or just exploring up in the woods and poking around the old slaughterhouse and doing all kinds of cool stuff. And then all of a sudden you'd realize, oh my goodness, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon and everybody's getting hungry. So we all stop, everybody quick runs home, get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and right back out the door again you go. And we're still in the neighborhood, whether we're playing the second half of the badminton tournament or the last few innings of a baseball game, or if we're all going to get on our bikes and ride to the local town swimming pool or whatever. But we were out running around all over the neighborhood just having a ball. And what you got called home for was when the streetlights came on. And when the streetlights came on, it was time to go home. But we were out all the time. It's not like it is today. I don't think the world is the same world where we can actually trust our neighbors, folks that live in our neighborhood. I don't think we can trust them anymore. And that's a sad, sad commentary on the evolution of today's world. Given that, I think the kids today, the younger folks, don't have an appreciation of what it really is to have paid your dues, earned your way. I think they've been handed way too many things too quickly. They didn't really have to work for it. It's a tough lesson to learn. It's a tough lesson in parenting to learn, that you actually have to defer the gratification until you achieve a goal, that you complete a task, that you do something to earn the reward. Now, if your kid just happens to sign up for the soccer team, he gets a trophy. If he just shows up once in a while, he gets a participation certificate. Well, you know what? We never got anything like that. If you happen to be on the team that won the local division of your youth baseball, Little League baseball team, you may get a trophy. And it was a little one. But it said, this is what you earned. You were first place. You were second place. That's the kind of stuff that I think really goes a long way to teach kids a lesson. I don't think they're getting that today. Helicopter parents are there hovering over them all the time. I think it stifles creativity. I think it reduces the curiosity factor. I think the kids just become complacent, and as they do that, they become impatient. And I think I can see a lot of that impatience with the kids from the Parkland High School there as they were out touring the country and demanding that the federal government takes away our rights so that they can feel safe. And they don't understand what it's like to have freedom and liberty and the ability to think for themselves. My thoughts for the young folks is that you've got to take some time. You've got to stop and look, smell the roses, take a look around you, find out what it is that really motivates you. And if the motivation is simply staring at your iPhone, paging through your Facebook application or whatever, I guess that's really all you're going to expect out of life. That somebody's going to be feeding you your entertainment. Somebody's going to be feeding you your information. A couple of suggestions first. Spend some time with your grandparents. Spend some time with your aunts and uncles, your great aunts, your great uncles. Get to know them. Get to know how they lived their life and what they learned during their life. Compare that against what you're learning in school and see where the differences are. And if you can pinpoint what those differences are, you're well on your way to finding success. Success only comes from hard work. It comes from sacrifice. It comes from paying your dues. Nobody's going to hand you a trophy, not for life participation. Maybe Little League Baseball, you get a participation trophy. Maybe at the local soccer team, you get a participation trophy. But man, once you hit the real world, there's no participation trophies. Now, you get what you earn. Watch what your grandparents have done. Watch what your great aunts and your great uncles and your aunts and your uncles, what those folks are doing, how they live their lives. It's going to make a difference. Learn what you can from them. Apply what you can learn from them to what you're being exposed to in school. I was very disappointed to hear recently that questionnaires from our local school district went home with the kids about white privilege. That there was questionnaires from a neighboring city that came home with a homework assignment on writing a letter to your representative in Washington in support of gun control. Now there was no debate. There was no take a side of the issue and we'll argue this in class and we'll have a big overall discussion so you can see both sides of the issues. No, that was your homework assignment. You got to write a letter supporting gun control and you got to convince your legislator to vote for gun control. Heavens to Betsy. That's absolutely insane, but that's the kind of stuff is going on in schools today. And you can't let it happen in schools. But it's happening. You can't let it happen to your kids, but it's happening. So we've got to take the next step. The mature adults, the old folks, the old preppers, teach your children well. Give them the life experiences, expose them to the experiences in life so that they can learn the value of freedom, liberty, and individualism. It's the only path that we can actually follow to sustain what we've grown this country to become. I'm very concerned about the direction that this country wants to go. I'm very concerned that the kids of today are embracing socialism as a solution for society. It doesn't work. It never has worked. It's not going to work here. It's going to be tyrannical. Your freedoms are going to be gone. Your liberties are going to be gone. We've got kids from Parkland, Florida that are out now advocating to take our Second Amendment rights away. All based on emotion, none based on fact. We can't continue to allow this kind of stuff to happen. So to the old folks out there, spend some time with your kids. Spend some time with your grandkids. Let them benefit from your experience. Let them benefit from your knowledge of freedom, liberty, and individuality. It's a sacred duty. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you on the next video.